So welcome everybody, as I said, to the first webinar, which is introducing Reimagining Advancing Practice, which is a commissioned piece of work across the Royal College of Occupational Therapy and Speech and Language Therapy too. And we're delighted that you can join us here this afternoon. So myself and Louise will be sharing a presentation with you today. The presentation should take around about 20 minutes. And really what we wanted to do was introduce the project to you, meet the team, but also really start this collaborative adventure that will be going on, which really is about bringing together diverse groups of people, all who have an interest and are building on the expertise around advanced level practice. I'm going to hand over to Louise now, who's going to take the introduction through.
Thanks very much, Kim. So lovely to see everybody here. What we're going to go through today is the outline of this Advancing Practice project. We're just going to do some very brief introductions to the team and talk about the innovation partnership between the professional bodies and the universities. And this piece of work is funded via the Professional Bodies Education Reform Commission from NHS England. We're going to talk a little bit about the overview of the project and the phases that we're going to go through with this project. You're going to hear this word a lot today, collaboration. We're going to talk about our collaborative commitment, and that very much involves yourselves. And we're also going to talk finally about how to get involved moving forwards. Thanks, Kim. So the innovation partnership, first of all, this innovation partnership has been made between two professional bodies, the Royal College of Occupational Therapists and the Royal College of Speech and Language Therapists. I'm just going to answer that question. Yes, it will be made available afterwards. The partnership also is between the two universities, so Coventry University and Salford University, who have now been working together for a couple of years. We've just delivered a national piece of work across a national piece of work for NHS England to deliver the national schema and profession-specific curricula for enhanced practice across 7 AHPs. Myself, along with Kim is going to lead this project from Coventry University, and we've also got some key team members there: Jo Jennings, Sam Dewis, Sue Kenny, Dr. Yvonne Milton, and we're also going to be broadening that out to involve internal and external expert consultants, and we will be seeking expertise from occupational and speech therapy across the piece, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Next slide, please. So collaboration is key in this. Myself and Kim will be working across the universities and across professions, but this is through an innovation partnership, and that innovation partnership is across both professional bodies, but it is also across yourselves as well. So as we know, in terms of advanced practice, it's a multi-dimensional framework. It's a complex area that intersects practice. It intersects across regulation and frameworks. It intersects across education. It goes across professions. It's profession specific and multi-professional. It crosses across nations. We need to realise the future for advancing practice, and in order to do this, it requires an intersect of thought and action from a real diverse range of perspectives. It needs to draw on expertise and experiences across sectors, and that's where it's so important that Kim leading the project and myself and the rest of the team are able to facilitate that collaborative approach with everybody involved. We need to do that in order to build outwards from that, to be really inclusive of advancing practice, to really look at what that means for the Royal College of Speech and Language Therapists and the Royal College of Occupational Therapists, to move that forward, to maximise the potential for those professions. I'm going to hand over back now to Kim to talk you through the process. Thanks, Kim.
Thank you. Somebody else keep an eye on that inbox as they're coming through. Thank you. So I think, it's fair to say that advanced level practice is a knotty challenge, that there is so much complexity involved when we start to think about advanced level practice. because there are so many connected parts of advanced practice across the pillars, across professions, and even within organisations. Understanding advanced level practice is a complex piece of work to do. And we're not here to look at the entirety of that. What we're here to do is recognise what has already gone before and build out from that really sound basis, but with a real thought and considered action around allied health professions, and in particular occupational therapy and speech and language therapy. We also know there are multiple agendas that are informing this level of practice across professions, within our own organisations, within the national agendas and local agendas. And that includes regulatory requirements that are sitting out there in terms of what happens next across professions. But we also know that advanced level practice can have some really similar elements, but actually some really opposing facets as well. So what we're looking at here is really that dynamic that we're trying to understand and contribute to from a profession-specific lens. The remit of this piece of work is about taking forward advanced level practice within allied health professions and occupational therapy and speech and language therapy from a specific profession lens. It's about looking at the existing frameworks, looking at the existing career development frameworks within our profession across our nations, and look at how can we maximise that and what professional development needs to wrap around it for AHPs broadly, but very much targeting moving on from that around occupational therapy and speech and language therapy. So to really think about how we can maximise this level of the workforce within those professions, how the educational offer that wraps around it situates the profession to move forward and continue to thrive within advanced level practice. So it has got that link to that workforce review and reform moving out, and the contributions that those professions have to our existing and emerging communities across health and care. So we submitted the tender as part of the NHSE national reform, and were successful in working with the Royal College of Occupational Therapy and the Royal College of Speech and Language Therapy. And we designed this process around 3 key phases. And as Louise said right at the beginning, for us, this is about collaboration. Louise and I are the conduit through that collaboration, facilitating that range of perspectives we want to bring on board and expertise to really shape an understanding of advanced level practice across allied health professions, and then moving forward from that into understanding occupational therapy and speech and language therapy. So the first part of our process is around creating the vision, and it really starts with that perspective of empathy and understanding, really seeking to deeply explore and understand allied health professions' understanding of what it is around professional development that would really enable their professions and them to thrive moving towards advanced level practice. Now, we can't do that in isolation. It is about looking at that intersect of understanding advanced level practice in all of our nations, and then how that fits for allied health professions, and then how that intersect works for occupational therapy and for speech and language therapy. Now, we can only do that through collaboration. So we are looking at holding a series of events to really draw together all of those perspectives, all of that understanding in order to move forward. So exploring stakeholder perspectives on how to develop that cohesion and clarity for allied health professions. I can see there's just a chat in there asked around, are other professions looking at this? They are, but they're choosing to do it in different ways. So if you're not represented here in terms of occupational therapy, speech and language therapy, but from that broader perspective of other professions, do reach out to your professional bodies, or do look at what they are doing as well. Different groups are choosing to look at this issue in different ways. The next thing is really then taking forward from that broad understanding around advanced level practice. what are the unique attributes for occupational therapy and speech and language therapy? What is it that will help to promote and draw down a professional development offer that works for your professions, but is aligned to the existing frameworks and aligned to existing career development professions, agendas, and frameworks across our professions? The next phase in terms of the output from phase one is really thinking about, so what will that look like as a piece of work? What will the outcome be that is helpful to take forward for each of those professions? Now, we haven't said what that is. And the reason we haven't said what that is because it should be informed by this process. So there's no predefined agenda here. There's no particular framework that we will end up writing. It is absolutely key that we as professions drive that forward across all of our sectors, including from a HEI perspective. Phase two is all around bringing together that insight from phase one into innovation and ideation. What that means is really focusing at this point down to explore in depth occupational therapy and speech and language therapy. What is it across all of those sectors that are the common denominators for advanced level practice, both in terms of the requirement of advanced level practice, but also the educational frameworks that sit around that. Thinking about how does that then dovetail with existing career development frameworks. And again, both professional bodies will be working around their career development framework, and we will be aligning that with this programme of work. And that really reflects the importance of looking at all pillars and making sure that we are thinking about all of those pillars of practice and how they're reflected in professional development. Now, the output of phase two is a creation of coherent principles or guidance for those professions around professional development and mapping that and aligning it to existing frameworks across nations. So we know that NHSE have a framework around advanced practice, but also we're not ignoring the fact that we are across all nations. So looking at how it then aligns with our other nations as well, but also outside of NHS sectors as well, recognising the importance of social care, the voluntary sector, charities, actually making sure we're reflective of the breadth of practice when we are thinking about the application of advancing practice. Now, again, Louise and I are not sitting here as experts within this. We absolutely are committed to that collaboration. And that piece of work is about collaborative development of those principles or frameworks, drawing in subject expertise. And that's where you come in. So the people who have registered to this event, we really want to make sure that you have a chance to get involved, that your voices, your perspectives are absolutely building this forward. At the end of our kind of formal bit of the presentation, we will open it out for a conversation and we will share with you ways that you might choose to get involved, but also we'll pop in the chat some Microsoft forms. If you really want to get involved in that subject expertise part, we'll pop a form in the chat and you'll be able to give us your perspectives and how you think you can contribute as part of that. And then finally, phase three. Phase three is about so what? So we could come up with a great set of principles, but how do we make sure they are embedded moving forward? So phase three is around accelerate. It's about how do we lift this up? How do we take it further? So working with the professional bodies to identify the range of audiences where we can disseminate this work out, the implementation and an action plan. Thinking about what are the ambitions of this piece of work and how do we really feed it forward, right from how people might start to think about commissioning educational programs, commissioning occupational therapy or speech and language therapy, thinking about that skill set and expertise we need across the levels of practice and how can we build that into the commissioning of services for our professions. But also it's about how do we use different forms of dissemination, making sure that we've got the right message going to the right audience in the right way. And then what does that timeline look like to elevate this work forward? How do we bring about that impact and that movement, both from a HEI sector where they will be developing, already have existing educational offers, but also if there's new providers thinking, do you know what, this is really important and we want to take it forward, but also working within our workforce reform, working with the professional bodies, working with you to take this as a set of principles or guidance that you can then cascade into your organisations to help really progress advanced level practice and the opportunities for occupational therapy and speech and language therapy, but also that broader remit of allied health professions as well. So I'm going to hand back over to Louise now.
Thanks, Kim. So we've heard about the phases that Kim's talked us through, the project that we're going to be doing around reimagining advanced practice. But this absolutely cannot happen without all of yourselves. We need to have a collaborative voice to be able to move this forwards for AHPs, and then more specifically for the second phase and the third meet that we're going to have for the Royal College of Speech and Language Therapists and the Royal College of Occupational Therapists. That collaborative commitment means that Kim and I are the conduits to moving this forward and facilitating. We need to bring people together. We need to make sure that we have access to experts across sectors within particular areas of speciality. Kim and I are not here to give the answers. We don't have a specific idea of what this should look like at the end. That needs to be developed as we go through. This is not about rewriting existing frameworks. We need to understand how we take this forward to have a focus on profession-specific education. This is absolutely a fantastic opportunity for AHPs to work collaboratively and build on the expertise that's already in place. Next slide, please. In order to make this a success, we absolutely need you to get involved. Phase 1 is all about collaboration, conversation and collective thought. We would like you to join into the Insight events. The first Insight events, the first 2 there on your screens, are open to any profession, and that's not just AHPs, it's everybody. The wider information and the wider voices we hear, the better the information we will be able to use and move this forward. So the focus will be on AHPs, but I'm aware that there are people within this meeting that might be managing AHPs or interested in developing in their own areas, and that's absolutely great. All of those voices need to be heard. So the first 2 Insight events, the first one is talking about AHP characteristics of advancing practice. That's coming up very soon. That's next week. So please put that in your diary if you are available. 4th of July, 2 till 4 p.m. We will be giving coffee breaks, etc. But we're looking at, it's online using Microsoft Teams again, but we're looking at what advanced practice means to us as AHPs. What does that look like? What characteristics are involved in advanced practice? This is for us to shape this. What does that really mean to you and your profession, your area of expertise, your sector? What does that mean to you? The second Insight event is about professional development. So how do we use this in terms of professional development for advancing practice? That's a little bit later on, 30th of July. So again, please pop that in your diary. And then we've got the second phase, which is about profession-specific events. So that Insight event 3, there's 2 Insight events 3, one specifically for speech and language therapy on the 8th of August, 9 till 11, you're the early birds, and occupational therapists specifically on the 8th of August, 1 till 3. That's when we'll really pick out the nuances of what this then sifted down looks like to your specific professions. We really want to look at working with subject experts in this. So I'm going to pop in the chat now a couple of things. I'm going to pop in the chat a Microsoft Forms team link. So if you are interested, if you want to work to help to shape this for your profession, AHPs, and your specific profession in terms of occupational therapy and speech and language therapy, please do complete that and get in touch with us. We are interested in getting as many voices as we can. It's showing an area of interest, an expression of interest to us that we can then are able to use those expertise to really feed into this project and get the best out of it. The other thing that I just want to flag there as well is the two professional body websites, which again I will put in the chat, where you can find a little bit of further information. And this presentation will also, this recording will also be going up there as well. So you've got the links in there. And you can find those on your professional body web pages. I'd really like to thank everybody for coming today. This is, I can't say enough, a really important piece of work, and it's so important for us as AHPs to think about how we move this forward together. Collaboration is absolutely key, and we need to think about how we distill and move forward what expertise are already there. So this is about us taking this forward to have a real focus on profession-specific education. It's a fantastic opportunity to work collaboratively and to build on the expertise that are already in place. So I'm just going to close there. I'm going to hand over to Kim if there's anything else that Kim wants to say, and then we're going to stop the recording. Kim,
we will. Yep, I'm just going to answer the question we had in the chat. What does subject expert mean? It can mean lots of different things. What we mean by that is a particular clinical pathway that you have developed real expertise and depth in. It might be an expertise around curriculum development. It might be expertise around profession specificness. So it could be a range of things. The Royal College of OT and Speech and Language Therapy have identified specific pathways that they wanted to focus on as part of that work. And so it might be around linking into some of those areas. And again, we'll share further information on that as part of moving through into that subject build. So really it's about, have you developed a real depth of knowledge, expertise that can feed into this piece of work? We are really keen to, not that we're not keen to hear from occupational therapists, but we are really keen to hear from speech and language therapists, really making sure that we build out and are inclusive of your voice. What is absolutely key is that the output of this reflects your profession and your voice. So it should absolutely, when it's read, resonate with you in your profession. So you read it and you see, yes, that's me. That's either where I want to be, it's where I am, or where I can see my workforce going. So it absolutely has to be the voice of your professions. And the reason I said occupational therapy, I am one, and I absolutely will commit to working with you to do that. But I'm not a speech and language therapist. That's why it's absolutely key. And we recognise that at the outset, that we absolutely have got to get each of these professions' voices at the centre of this piece of work. And it would be foolish not to acknowledge that neither of us, Louise or I, are speech and language therapists. However, we have done a programme of work like this across 7 professions, and we have developed that ability to work across those professions, but bring that voice right to the centre of it. And I hope that's a little bit of why we ended up with the tender. Maybe. So we're going to stop recording if it already hasn't happened.
Yeah, you need to do that, Kim.
Okay.
Thank you. And just to say as well, it's so incredible that we've had